My guest today is Jeremy Blubaugh. Jeremy is the Chief Personalization Officer at CoinFlip Marketing. His goal is to humanize the prospecting and customer experience through personalization. So he said he's a family man first. He has 4 children. He's a big baseball and college football fan, and he's addicted to buying and selling baseball, football, and basketball cards on eBay. He says he spends about 5 hours a week. I almost said a day. That's even a lot for, for the most avid addict. And so in today's podcast episode, Jeremy talks about why is cold calling and cold emailing dead? What does it take to build lifelong relationships? And why are most people approaching gift strategizing wrong? And I have a lot of questions for him on this. So let's jump right in. Hey, Jeremy, thanks so much for joining me today. I'm excited for our conversation. I appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah, glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I love this whole topic. I actually heard about you, Coda August, on LinkedIn.
Coda's the man. I owe him a referral fees.
He mentioned you, and I had not been aware that you were out there. I didn't know anything about your business. And I love the whole reciprocity, the whole idea, because it's one of those behavioral science things where it's really hard to resist that sort of thing. When somebody gives you something, hey, I'm going to pay for your lunch, you can get me next time kind of thing. But I wanted to know, how did you get started, like CoinFlip Marketing? How did that come about? And how did you even get into that line of work?
My background, I'm a retired 15 call a year sales rep, both inside, outside sales, SDR, account executive type thing. It was called internal outside sales in my world. But when I got promoted from inside to outside sales rep, I lived in Chicago. They promoted me to Minnesota. And actually, I was inside sales rep calling on Minnesota. So I already kind of had a brand name. People knew who I were. It was fairly easy to get meetings. There were still people I couldn't get meetings with, but I grew my business just based off of because people knew who I was and got some referrals and that market. Sorry for anybody listening to this on Minnesota. Minnesota was not the place for our wife and I. It is too dang cold up there. And being where you located, Linda, I'm assuming you don't like it either.
Arizona.
But yeah, it just wasn't for us. So we actually went to go work for a friend. Some people down in St. Louis, some people say, well, yeah, it's still a heck of a lot more than Minnesota. But I was covering Missouri, Arkansas, Louisiana, Oklahoma, part of Southern Illinois, big, massive territory. But here's the thing, Linda, I couldn't get meetings with the top people I wanted to get meetings with. And that's when I hired a coach. I started reading. And really kind of the two influential things is I worked with a guy named Rob Shore, who's an external wholesaler coach people like me in my business, and really kind of taught me to bring up this creativity. And at the same time, I got introduced to this guy named John Ruhlin and his book, Giftology. And I really kind of took what these two coaches taught me and started to kind of create my own personalized outreach. And I had gone from, call it 23rd out of 24th out of the sales place to number 2 in 18 months in my business.
Wow.
From a business, no one knew me. I didn't know the products. I didn't know anybody, all by using personalized outreach. And that's really all it kind of came from. I actually did this as a sales rep, outside sales rep for 5 years, grew my territory to top territories in pretty much everywhere I went. And then in 2019, just like probably many people listening to this call, I got a call from a manager. Your territory has been cut. We no longer need your services. It sucked. And then they told me what it was going to cost me to pay to go away. I was like, oh, I should do this more often. I'm like, yeah, okay. And then I started my business in 2019. I launched CoinFlip Marketing. And the idea is we help sales reps, business owners get the attention of their hard to reach prospects all through the art of personalization. And what's really unique about us from Linda, and I talked about before this call, is we hardly use the channels that most people use, LinkedIn, email, phone. We do everything through direct mail. And what I found is that direct mail, your inbox or your mailbox, I should say, is way less crowded than your inbox or your DM or your voicemail. And it just tends to work because when's the last time you got something in the mail that was personalized directly to you, Linda? My guess is you've never gotten it. If you have, you can remember exactly, probably to the date, what it is and who sent it to you, right? That's why it works.
Yeah, I think I mentioned to you because I donate to like a lot of animal welfare sort of things. It's my thing. I volunteered at different places, and so I get bombarded. And I had this one, and I mentioned this to you, I think in a DM on LinkedIn, that I had got this envelope full of it. I got socks, a calendar. Calendar and stamps are the ones that are they have like the return address labels. Those are the typical things. But this was above and beyond that. Like, what in the world is this? I'd never gotten socks from it was not the Humane Society, but it was one of those organizations. And, I did send them another donation, but I mean, I'm always sending donations to them. So it's not like they really had to do that. But it definitely caught my eye. The envelope is big. Because isn't that one of the things that they call a lumpy envelope or something?
Yeah. So it's lumpy is one of the things we try to teach people, whether you do it yourself or you hire us to do, or a kind of odd color box, a yellow box, orange box, a green box. So it's not just like this gray or white box. It's what, hold on a second. Someone sent me yellow. What's in the yellow box? Like who sent me this? And two, part of what we do is when you hire our business to do it for you is, we have a whole fulfillment center that we utilize. Like, it's not just the gift and the card that we put inside. Like, it's kind of an unboxing experience too. We use higher quality boxes, higher quality packaging. We can customize the box. I mean, you can spend $25 per box if you want to. I don't think you need to go that far out of bounds, but like you can, and it works. So,
well, my big question for you is, now we're going to talk about cold emailing and why it's dead. But at what point do you send something? Is it before you have made contact with the person? Like, so for example, now I'm always sending outbound, and I feel like a lot of it is like the timing, and I do inbound as well. But when do you send something? Because if like you've never had any contact with that person, do you send it, or do you wait until you contacted them and then it's been a while since you heard from them?
Both scenarios, honestly. I always tell people, if I've never had contact with that person or you never had contact with that person, so let's say it's me reaching out to you, Linda, just assume they've never seen your email. They've never seen your voicemail. They've never seen your name. Now, you can joke about it. Like, hey, you might recognize my name in the copy, but like, just assume that they haven't and go from there. Now, on the flip side, maybe you've had a few conversations with Linda and Linda's ghosted you. Perfect time to send it. It's all really kind of about creating an experience. Like, the sales rep's different. This business is different. They're approaching it from a different angle. They got my attention. It's all about me. They listened to me. They paid attention to me. And I'm sure we're going to talk about this, but it really kind of plays into the psychology of why this works. And I always quote this book. And every time I do a podcast or really kind of talk to anybody, we get into the psychology, is Dale Carnegie talked about in his book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, 100 plus years ago, when the wealthiest man's ever walked the planet. If you show people you care, show people you listen, show people you're interested in them, and you build relationships for life, because you're like, wow, this person actually really cares about me. And then what we try to teach them is like, what'd you learn about Linda? Now let's actually use that information you learned about Linda to your advantage. So whether it's going on Linda's website and find out that she loves to ski, or Linda told us she loves to ski from some conversations, we take that and we use that to your advantage, or you should use that to your advantage.
Except I've never skied, but if I did.
Yeah, I'm just throwing it. Yeah.
But yeah, well, and that's the thing.
That's a different Linda is what I meant.
There's a lot of Lindas around there.
Yes.
Definitely. But when it comes to like getting the information, I know there's sites you can find email addresses. Now, is it easy to find somebody's address? Do you just send to a business, or do you send to like a home address?
Yeah, so it really kind of comes down to your comfortability, right? I'm fine with sending to home addresses. I think especially people who are in roles up the food chain who now work remote realize the world we live in. I understand people's uncomfortability with that. Like, I really don't want to send someone this home address. And you know what? You send 100 packages, you might upset that person, 1 out of 100. But the benefits you get for all the other people who respond and find the fun and the connections you're trying to create are outweigh that one person who gets upset at you. And guess what? That one person probably wasn't going to work with you anyways, and they weren't going to respond to your cold calls, cold emails, and LinkedIn direct messages anyway. So go on, life goes on, right? But yeah, it's a little bit harder to find people's addresses, but we typically send to businesses. There are tools to find addresses. I use a tool called AI Identified. There's a company called Revenue Roll. I know it's pretty good. Zoom Info can find addresses. Now, sometimes you do have to do something like, okay, Linda says she's in Phoenix on LinkedIn, or the home office says she's in Los Angeles. Just kind of maybe do a little bit digging to trying to find out which location Linda's actually in and do some more research. But yeah, it's possible to find addresses. Are you going to be 100% all the time? No. it's just not possible. But
Because I use Lucia for like emails. It just started, but I'm still kind of trying to find my way around. But that's emails and phone, and no one answers their phone anymore. And that's not something I would imagine that you want to start with anyway. So, are you saying that cold calling and cold emailing, do you feel it's dead? And this is why this what you do and your strategy works better?
I hate to use the word dead because I do think for certain industries it does work. But I would say for the majority it doesn't. And the problem and the reason why I would say it is almost dead is most people are lazy with it. They're going to use ChatGPT. They're going to send it to 10,000 people. They're going to assume Linda has the same problem as Jeremy. They're going to mail merge their name in, their company name and position it. It all looks, smells, tastes the same, right? It's all the same crap. You can go into your LinkedIn and your email inbox. You look at the last 50 emails and say, 80% of this is kind of the same with insert product, my features here, right?
Right.
I do believe if you're willing to take the time and personalize emails, and we do teach that with my clients who can't afford to kind of send gifts and do gifts, like how to do set personalized emails. How would you send an email? Because that's your only avenue, but you're going to get a way better response rate if you do personalized emails versus just blasted out to 10,000 people. So I wouldn't say it's dead. Why I do think it works, what we do, and it goes back to my early comments, is not that many people are getting fun packages in the mail every day,
Right.
if ever. And you're one of maybe 5 things that show up in their inbox or mailbox that day versus 350 emails they got, 27 Slack messages, whatever their communication is. Like, it's just noise to them and they're not paying attention to it.
Yeah.
That's why it's just way less busy than cold email, LinkedIn messages, etc.
But what is it about getting something and the reciprocity? Like, why does that work so well?
Yeah, you can call it reciprocity. I call it more like it. You actually took the time and showed people you cared and did the research. But it does kind of create reciprocity because when you do something like this for them and they respond in a positive way, and you finally get to talk with them one-on-one. So let's say me, I'm reaching out to you and I send a personalized package. Like, I actually get the full 15, 30 minutes, whatever time I scheduled with you. I need your attention because of that. And that's what most sales wants reps in the top of the funnel is more conversations with the right people. That's all you're looking for. And that's what we try to do is we try to fill up that top of funnel with the right qualified people using this approach, but actually giving you the time that, because what happens? Okay, Linda, what's up? What do you got? 5 seconds. You give your pitch. Oh, well, Linda must be really interested. Linda's really not interested just because she picked up the phone and said, yeah, it sounds like I'm something. And you put them on a 15 email sequence and she never responds, right? It's not a qualifier. Like, you actually get to qualify and ask the questions. And, that's where the art sales come into once we get Linda on the phone and get their attention. But that's a different conversation over time. But that's really why it works. You actually get the reciprocity. You get Linda's attention when you do this for her.
Now, there's a couple different approaches. Like for me, so I'm a individual entrepreneur, so I don't know what you charge, but I assume you're bigger than what I need for, the clients I'm looking for. What are some suggestions for somebody like me? And what do you usually recommend for like a company to start? Like, where do you even start?
So it doesn't have to be a gift. Yes, gifts work way better than just sending cards. But for like $250 a month, you could probably send out 200 personalized cards. So I teach people how to use a tool called Mailbox Power. What's great about it is, number one, you can automate and kind of personalize a card with mail merge. So you can actually like Photoshop their name on the front of the card. You can Photoshop their name on anything. And it actually looks like you personalized the card directly towards LinkedIn.
Right.
Yeah, I talk about LinkedIn all the time. Like, you can pop in 200 people's name. It's going to put their name on it. And like, this didn't get the typical 30 to 50% response ratio as we did for a client, but I got them a 14% response ratio with people that never pick up the phone or respond in emails. So he was more than happy because he went from less than 1% into 14%, and it cost them, I don't know what the total dollar amount was, like $275. Didn't break the bank. So a lot of that's what we do too, but like for like solopreneurs or people getting started, or, hey, I have a little bit of a budget, but not a big budget. Like, that's where I tell them, like, you need to start sending personalized cards to get these people's attention. And If they don't respond to the first one, you send another one. If they're that important to you, like build out a cadence. And so when you do finally pick up the phone, like, hey, Linda, it's Jeremy Blubaugh over Coin Flip Marketing. I'm the guy who's been sending you all those crazy cards the last few months. I hope you've gotten them. And hopefully Linda's like, yeah, I've gotten them. I hope you appreciate it. I'm busy. Those are funny. They made me laugh every single time. You got my attention. And that's all you're trying to do.
Right.
So.
And I think now with AI and everything being so automated, doesn't it seem like it's more important than ever, like just building these kinds of relationships?
Yeah, and it's going to continue to get, they said at the beginning of this year, the average 347 billion emails are going to be sent daily. I'm assuming it's going to go over 400 billion with AI this year. My guess in 3 years, it's going to be 500 billion emails. Like, it's coming. And if you think your email is noise now, in 2 to 3 years, it's not even going to be landing in people's inbox. Like, it's going to be done, in my opinion, because it's going to get filtered out. There's going to be some company who builds out like, hey, did AI send this email, and just delete it. Right. Actually, that's what you should I build. An email AI blocker tool. Sell it to Google, and be billionaires. There we go. Start of a billionaire.
Doing it. I'm a big sci-fi movie fan, and I was watching this trailer yesterday for some movie. I don't know when it's coming out, but it's when AI has figured out how to set off a nuclear bomb that destroyed like half of the planet. And I'm like, this is where we're heading. It starts with email, right? And then you end up like blowing up like half the universe. It's just really not personal at all.
I'm a fan of AI on certain things. I think you can automate tasks and roles and do a lot of really cool things. And the thing about AI, and actually I know Coda talks about this on his LinkedIn, who introduced this, is like, AI is only good to the person operating the AI. Mm-hmm. It's kind of the old adage, crap data in, crap data out. Right. If you just go on the chat GPT and type, make me a cold email for Linda, it's going to, first of all, shoot like 8 paragraphs out. Like, I played around with it just to see like what it does. But if you're like, hey, create me a fun, witty, creative email for Linda. We know this about Linda. Like, it can get you there 80%. You still got to humanize it, but like, you're at least way better there than most emails. But here's the thing, that is not scalable. Like, people don't want to do that. Like, I'll just send the 10,000 emails and hopefully 2 people respond. But people don't sit back and say, well, for 980, whatever, I'm terrible at math, I'm talking about 2, didn't respond. Like, how many people they actually really burned and got blocked from their inbox simply by just sending a crappy email through spam, through AI. And you're really kind of killing your deal flow by doing that, because you're never going to be able to reach them now. So,
right. Just burn that bridge. The most viral carousel, actually probably the most viral post this year so far for me, has been one on 21 marketing. It was 21 words and phrases to get rid of. I forget how I worded it. It was smart at the time. Now I can't think of it, but it's like 21 words and phrases to never use in your marketing. And it was all about marketing speak. And I actually asked AI to tell me what are the marketing words that are overused. And so I broke it down, and what are the most, they're just things you hear all the time. And the thing is, AI is only pulling from what's out there already. And so it doesn't originate anything. It just repeats. So it's the same, next level, and it like words that just don't mean anything, to really, but people think that that's good enough, and they use it, and it's just getting worse, in my opinion. So yeah, I think what you're doing is probably going to be more.
So there's there's actually like I don't know if you want to call it an AI tool. Like, I don't know if you heard of Lavender. Like, I'm assuming that's some type of AI, because they help you write the email. I think they do more like an email grading. That's really cool. I mean, we don't send cold emails, so it's not a tool for me, but anybody who's looking to send cold emails, I'm like, hey, use that tool, because it's really phenomenal. Or like Reggie.ai, they help you kind of do the same thing. Like, these are 2 really good tools that kind of help you get more open rates through email. But once again, it's not scalable. So like, go great. Like, well, that email is a 2 of 10 or whatever Lavender does it. Like, don't send it. Okay, well, I'm not going to send it. Let's get it better. So make sure Linda actually might read that email. So.
And the thing that AI can't do is what you're doing, which is getting personalized, really thinking. And, I've said this so many times in so many posts that we make decisions based on emotion. And even the most logical person, research shows this, is part of our brain that when it's not functioning right, that it does, if it takes out emotion, we can't make decisions. So even though, we'll justify that decision or that purchase with logic, emotions is what drives that. So when you send something that strikes a chord with a person, like, oh, wow, they actually did a little research on me. It triggers some kind of emotion, whether it's like flattery or, I mean, does it ever backfire? Like,
from my knowledge, I've only had it backfire twice. Same sales rep. We did, I think, like 15 mailers. This individual got 13 meetings out of the 15. He got 2, like, leave me alone. Don't send me this. I don't appreciate this. And after kind of the conversation, we found out that it was kind of like, oh yeah, those 2 guys a year ago, or these 2 people we reached out to told me never to send them stuff again. So it's kind of wrong on the sales rep to kind of send them stuff again. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm sure we've upset someone before and they just didn't respond. And oh well. But listen, like, okay, we've probably done over 10,000 of these now. So I had 2 examples where we know the person got sales rep, but we're told not to send it to them. Let's say it's 1%. That's 100 people. We've opened over 5,000 doors for people. 5,000 to 100?
Yeah.
I'll take that all day long. That's a pretty good ratio.
Yeah.
But it is human psychology. They get stuck on this one person they might have upset. Yeah, right. And it's human nature, right? But like here, I'll read this. I just got this today from a client. This is part of like more of an enterprise sales team I'm working with, where we're doing all their outbound research for them. It's all personalized cards with personalized gifts. And after doing the research for this sales rep, we found out one of our prospects loved the sale. I think it's sailing, right? Hold on a second. Yeah, sailing. So he actually reached out to her, the sales rep, and gave her a nice email and says, hey, you sent me a very nice book, by the way. I just want to say special thanks for our lovely gift. As you probably know, I've been sailor for the past 25 years. And while I've sailed a few of those places, there are certainly a number that I have not. I'm not sure if you've seen the book or not, but the sailors regard desk sailing, daydream of your desk and researching places to sail there the next trip, season, or vacation. It's one of the greatest pastimes between sailor seasons. This will certainly be part of the required reading between sailing seasons. Much appreciation. Happy to connect at some point next week, and the week after that is pretty decent. Thanks again, Chris. Like, this guy wrote a paragraph to the sales rep on his own before she even followed up. That's because she struck a chord, right? This person is so passionate about sailing, and you doubled down on that. And that's the point of this. Like, it works because of that. Everybody has a Netflix show. Everybody has a baseball team, or whatever the case may be. They cheer for it. If you can find out what they're passionate about, like, if someone says on their website they're very passionate about something, it's very hardly we get a response or they don't get a meeting from them. It gets a little bit harder when you got to dig pretty deep to find something. But yeah, and we get examples like that all the single time. Like, I think we even got one time, remember, like 2 years ago, this guy sent this email, is like, whenever you can meet me, come see me whenever you want. We'd be absolutely crazy not to meet with you after that package.
What are some of examples of some of the things that you have had?
So once again, everything we do is highly personalized. So it really kind of comes down to what we find out about the individual. So to my point, if it's golf, like, we create a highly customized golf card that goes with the golf gift. And the golf gift could be personalized scorecard keeper, personalized divot tool, personalized golf towel. It doesn't really matter at that point, but everything we do is personalized. It'll have the recipient's initials on it, recipient's name on it. And, on the card would be maybe their name photoshopped on the master's scorecard or scoreboard, and another picture or maybe the golf course that's local to them. And then there's a note, and that's what we do. Or let's say someone's a huge Boston Red Sox fan. Like, we're going to buy them a personalized Boston Red Sox gift and have a Boston Red Sox themed card. And we'll Photoshop their picture on the front of the newspaper, Wall Street Journal, say #1 Red Sox fan or something like that. So yeah, we have a whole team. So if someone sends us an order, I have a person that does all the research on everyone, finds out, goes to Google, Google, LinkedIn, their website, scans like a podcast tool, see if they've ever been on a podcast. If we're targeting up the market, we'll have them read, go to websites and try to see if they've ever been interviewed by someone, see if they say anything in those interviews, etc. And then it goes to my other team and they create all the cards and get the gift recommendations and stuff. I just kind of run the business now, but I still enjoy getting into the weeds and doing that every once in a while. It's fun.
I did the one cold email that I sent that landed my biggest client ever was when I did that kind of in-depth research. Like I really dug into all the news that was going on with this particular company. I found, well, the first thing was I found a disconnect in their marketing and it was a subscription that we were getting to the house that I went on the website and the messaging was completely different. And so I targeted the president, but a lot of this, and he did respond and I got a small project, but it ended up being an enterprise company. It was just too big for just an individual like myself because I couldn't wait 3 months between emails to find out what was going on. But he goes, I never respond to these kind of emails, but he said it was clear you did your research and it was a funny email, but that took me forever to do. So it makes sense. You have a team and you can kind of delegate, it's easier that way. But
yeah, I mean,
yeah.
Oh, yeah. I actually, when I first started CoinFlip, it was just me. I was doing everything. And about 6 months, maybe a year, I don't remember how long it was. I met a guy, who's still my coach now. He works within like the E-Myth coaching model. I don't know if you've ever read the E-Myth. Anybody's a solopreneur business needs to read the E-Myth by Michael Gerber. And I was actually reading it again because I'd read it many years ago as I kind of thought about creating a business. And I was reading, I get an outreach from him, kind of a generic one. I still give him a hard time about it. I'm like, you kind of got lucky that I was reading the E-Myth at that time because I probably wouldn't have responded. And then we did a call and he kind of walked me through. I walked him through my business model and he looked at me and said, Jeremy, like, frankly, like you're going to be miserable. I was like, oh, thanks for
thanks for the motivation.
Thanks for predicting the future for me. He's like, no, like you're growing, you have a great business idea, but in a year from now, you'll probably maybe double your income, but you're going to be working double the time because you don't have any systems in place to outsource it. So he's like, take a week off, look at your whole business, what can you systemize, and then start interviewing as many VAs as you possibly can. I interviewed 10. I work with a company called Smart VAs. They're the best. Anybody's looking for a VA, look at them. And the reason why I say that is I hate all these companies that say, oh, well, Linda, she's your VA and she can do everything. I'm like, Linda can do everything. Linda's got a lot of good skills, but I know Linda can't do everything. And you buy our, okay, there you go. All the Lindas in Phoenix, in Arizona can do it all, right? I was going to say but you buy hours from them and you can pick and choose where you delegate those hours. So if you need help with your website, you have a website person. If you need admin help, you need whatever, right? You just direct it to the right person on your team and they do it for you. And then, but it's what works about that is all the SOP. We're kind of going down a different rabbit hole right now, but I think it's important because I think having systems that do this places is why we can get it done. Because most people, once they see the amount of work that it takes to do what we do, they just shut down. Like that seems like too much work. And that's what always happens.
Right. It is a lot. Well, if somebody, what suggestion would you give to a company that, or even an individual that wants to do more personalized marketing like this? Like, what are some of the tips that you would?
I mean, tip number one, you got to hire me.
Okay. Step one,
I know. First, it's really, so this type of outreach that we try to do is, once again, it's all about segmenting. So you got to know who you're prospecting. You need to know who your ideal client profile is. And once you know who that ideal client profile, it's even getting more granular with that. Like let's say it's a list of 1,000 people that you want to target, Linda. Like who in that 1,000, call 50 or 100, that if you know you've got a meeting, close them, changes your life, changes your business, changes your sales career. Mm-hmm. Who is that 100? Now, you might be early in sales, you don't know who that is. You kind of take your best guess at it. That's who you start to do this stuff with. It's not for every 1,000. You go insane doing it for 1,000 people. It's impossible. And then you take it by bite-sized chunks. So let's say 100. Okay, well, I'm going to personalize an email 3 a day until I get all 100 of them. I'm going to personalize a car 3 a day, like baby chunks to get it down. And we post every day on LinkedIn about this stuff and how to personalize certain things. I have a newsletter, but that's how you do it. You have to really know who you're going to do this for. Because if you sit there and look at 1,000 people, it's not going to happen. You got to dissect that down to a very small limited number. I would say 100 is probably too much. 50 is probably a good starting point. And then maybe it's one a day for 50 days and try it.
Okay.
And here's the thing, don't discourage when you send 3 and they don't respond. Like you send 3, it's a very small sample size. Like
I was going to say, and a lot of times it is being at the right, you're just hitting them at the right time. Especially now, a lot of companies are undergoing a lot of changes. And so, it just seems harder. You have to kind of get in that that loop. Like a couple of times that I've sent totally cold emails, like one was that company. They just happened to be redoing their website. And so they had a need. He said, and normally I wouldn't have responded. So even if it's a great idea, it doesn't necessarily mean they're going to respond. But I think, you know, as you've proven, I mean, the chances are greatly increased.
Well, here's the thing, though. I'm going to go a little bit deeper on that. So even if, think about, you have one approach, you can just bombard them with sales automation tool, right? And just send emails that they're never going to read, never create an experience, never really be memorable to them. Or you can send these personalized emails to this targeted 50 people, and you maybe every 50 days you start it again. And so over the next 6 months, this prospect gets 7, terrible at math, I'm from the state of Indiana. Sorry for anybody from Indiana. Like, gets 7 emails from you, but they're all fun. They make the person chuckle. They read them. You now create an experience with that person. Now they might have a little bit of an idea of what you do because they go research you, find out who you are. They look up you online. And you know what? When it comes time to buy, they might think of you.
Right.
And you're so much farther ahead because you took actually the road less travel and just sitting there sending a 10 email sequence with phone call crap that's not going to get you anywhere. So that's to the part. Like, it's just because they don't respond right now doesn't mean that email didn't resonate or the package didn't resonate. It just means probably right now, not right now.
Right. Like lurkers on LinkedIn. A lot of times people don't say anything and they pop up in your DMs and they're like, hey, I've been following you. And you're like, they don't even like or, you know, comment on it.
I mean, like they said, like 98% of people don't ever comment or like anything. I mean, it's, I would say 85% of my clients on LinkedIn have never commented or liked any of my stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. And you post some cool stuff. So that's funny. But where can people find you? Clearly on LinkedIn. And where else can they? Yeah.
So we have a website, coinflipmarketing.com. I mean, those are really the 2 places I hang out. I hang out on LinkedIn. I've debated going into other channels, you know, Instagram, TikTok. I've posted a few. I don't know. I just stick to LinkedIn and that's it. Those are really the 2 places. You can obviously email me, Jeremy@coinflipmarketing.com. Feel free to reach out to me, text me, 574-360-3431. If you have any questions about personalization or outreach, we're always open to a good conversation about it. I hope you can tell that we have a little bit of passion behind it. So that's where I am. But mainly LinkedIn. And then too, on LinkedIn, there is a link to our newsletter that we post every Wednesday at 7:45. It's usually on some ideas about prospecting or cold outreach or whatever we're thinking about that week.
I'll put all that in the show notes too. So people will.
Yeah, thank you.
People can find it. Well, thank you so much, Jeremy. It's been a lot of fun. I love this topic and you gave such great information that I'm sure everyone's going to really appreciate it. So thanks for taking the time.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Linda.